Welcome back. Yes, I'm going to probably raise the anxiety just a little bit, but don't worry, there is something we can do about that anxiety. As parents, we all want to keep our kids safe. That's the baseline. But sometimes we overlook one of the biggest threats hiding in plain sight, literally the sun. It's all around us all the time. And that's why NIVEA Sun is an essential part of your day-to-day routine, or at least it should be. Pediatrician Dr. Anisa Varheed and dermatologist Dr. Lauren Knight are here to discuss why children's skin is so vulnerable to sun damage and help us understand how the importance of protection can make a lifelong difference. It's a culture of sun care I think we want to foster. So thank you. Your skin looks immaculate, as it should do in this space. There is something about the first time that you feel your bubba's skin, Lauren. It is the softest, sweetest thing. You almost burst out crying there. Sorry, man. Yeah, I'm also a crier, so I tread lightly here. But it does beg the question, why is a young child's skin so sensitive?
I mean, we know their skins are sensitive because they're still developing. And so we're expecting that there's a certain degree of structural and functional immaturity, relative to the age and the development of the skin. So if we think of the skin from the outside in, our outermost layer, our stratum corneum, and then our epidermis are much thinner in babies and children. So you're much more susceptible to the functional barrier being impaired. So increased penetration by irritants, allergens, and then also increased susceptibility to infections that can then penetrate that barrier. And important to remember that a part of your immune system lives in your skin. So either the immune system from a functional point of view or a triggering of your immune system. So the immune system with this immaturity is often hyperreactive. So kids, you touch them, they develop this big red welts, or they have hives.
Just to add to that feeling of failure as a parent.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it's just this over-response. They have these exaggerated reactions to insect bites, and then obviously along the spectrum you have things like eczema that then could obviously develop. And then the under-response is this increase in susceptibility to infections. So warts, molluscum, things we don't see in adults that we see in children. And another important thing to remember is just that our babies specifically have got a higher water content in their skin. So this makes the skin amazing at absorbing anything you put on it. So fantastic for that moisturizer you want to put on your child.
For that barrier cream.
For the barrier cream you want to put on them. The problem is, though, anything that you put on that could be dangerous, chemicals, harmful to their skin, readily also taken out. So that's why we have to be really mindful about what we're putting on their skin at all times.
And that comes to sun care. The damage that can be done, and this is where we can let the anxiety rise, because you kind of can't go backwards. You can mitigate the damage moving forward, but it is essential that you protect during this crucial phase.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, with children, the big thing is, I think what we're always worrying about is that they might have a small little burn that we think is very insignificant, but they've got a bigger body surface area compared to adults. So you might actually, we could have a burn in our arm and we'd be like, it doesn't really hit our body that much. But in a child that's less than 1, that could actually be quite a huge impact onto their body and onto the rest of their actual, their organs to try and deal with it.
Sure. Okay, now I am terrified because I'm just thinking, I'm feeling so guilty because often it's not incumbent on the children to protect themselves as a parent. And there will be those days where you're like, oh, I sent her to school without putting, and you do. But now that you know the damage can be done, let's put a stop to that immediately. What is the best way to approach, and I'll get this from both of you, skin protection?
So I like to think of it as a multi-layered approach, but what you say is kind of the pinnacle of it. We have to model what we want to do for our children. So your children have to see you doing it. You as a family have to adopt the sun protective factors,
that culture,
or the culture of sun protection. So you really want to protect the skin, you want to avoid the sun, and you want to empower your kids. So the first line of protection is really sunscreen. So you're wanting an SPF 50, at least with UVA and UVB. So you're wanting a broad spectrum coverage.
And can we say that with kids, 50?
Yes. Everybody.
Everybody,
50.
Just go there.
Just be there. Go 50.
Because there will be that guy who's 65, he might be 24, but he now looks 65, completely covered. And I think once you start getting the rhino leathery skin at a certain age, you think that you are fine.
But you're not.
Keep protecting your skin. What happens if we go too far? Because that's another very painful thing for a child to experience. But again, damage can be done.
Well, that's the thing. So if you suspect that anyone has got burnt skin and you've got sunburn, you need to get out of that sun immediately, go into the shade, and basic first aid is very imperative right on. So you need to start cooling that skin down, because generally that sunburnt area is warm. So cool the skin down.
It holds the heat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So don't put ice on it, because that could actually damage the skin even more. So you need to cool the skin down, either with a cool cloth, put them in the bath into some cool water, water, just water them down. But then the big thing is moisturize.
Okay.
So put on a good moisturizing cream, something like an after sun cream, something containing aloe gel. I always say whenever I'm planning a big day out onto the beach, put my moisturizing cream in the fridge. So when I come back...
I was about to say
that's
exactly the same
so
thing.
all
We
of us
keep our after
pro-parents
sun in the fridge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pro-parents are already primed on that. I'm going saying, put it in the fridge, so when you come back, just take it out, put it down, and you're already cooling that skin down. But the big thing is also, it's painful, so don't forget a good dose of Panado. And chances are, if you actually have burnt skin, you're dehydrated, so hydrate up. Take that extra fluids in to just keep hydrated.
How at my age have I not heard this all laid out like this before? But it makes so much sense, and we ignore it, I suppose, because it's always there.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
always present. Why is this? We know immediately there's going to be damage done. We know that the body is smaller, so that surface area of damage can be bigger. But what does this mean long term if we allow this to happen too often, let alone once, within a child?
Well, I mean, exactly, and it's that common thing of, I wish I had known then.
Yes.
And what we're really seeing is that a sunburn is significant, and sunburn significantly increases your risk of skin cancer down the line. So one blistering sunburn in childhood doubles your risk of your non-melanoma skin cancer, so your basal cells, squamous cells. And 5 or more blistering sunburns in your lifetime, so not just in childhood, so obviously you can start accumulating from childhood, doubles your risk of melanoma, which is our more deadly skin
For
cancer.
sure.
So it really, really is important to protect. You know, set aside the long-term skin changes, photoaging. We're really worrying about that risk of setting up a course of skin cancer.
And it's in our control. It
your
is
control.
in our, well,
Exactly.
most of the time I say that like I control my kids, but
Yes.
we are always trying. But that is an incredible, I think for me, and I use this term all the time, baseline. It's a baseline shift. Get the whole family just operating on that level. But so important what you said, let your kids see you doing it, and your
Routine.
own skin will thank you for it. Even if you are at my stage of feeling like you've got a bit more protection in terms of the leatheriness of your skin, you do not. Remember that you need help. And NIVEA Sun Kids Protect and Care 5-in-1 SPF 50+ offers immediate protection from UVA and UVB rays, the heavy hitters, sunburns and long-term damage. And we now know the implications of that long-term damage. It's pediatrically approved and extra water resistant, perfect for the little ones, perfect for this time of the year. So here's a little extra something. Buy any NIVEA Sun product to stand a chance to win, and this is how you can do it.
Wouldn't you love to visit the home of tropical island of treasure Zanzibar? Well, you can. Buy any NIVEA Sun product, dial *120*607#, and you could stand a chance to win a trip for 2 to the Safira Blue Luxury Resort and Villas in Zanzibar. Keep your till slip handy. T's and C's apply. You could be soaking up the sun in Zanzibar.